Rome was known to be one of the greatest empires in history. It was extremely advanced for its time and has influenced many things in our society today. The Aztecs were also an incredibly advanced society. They made the Spanish conquistadors tremble in their shoes at the sight of their organization and complexity. Everyone has heard of these two civilizations before. One lived in the jungles of Mexico and one in Italy. Both from completely different times, separated by over 1,000 years. They must not have anything in common except for their complexity and popularity, right? Wrong. The Aztecs and the Romans have much more in common than most would assume. The Aztecs and Romans built amazing structures. Some still last centuries later. Some of the most well-known include the Great Pyramid of Tenochtitlan, and Santa Cecilia Atitlan by the Aztecs, and the Colosseum, the Mason Carey, and the Arch of Constantine built by the Romans. Roman architecture often exhibited arches, pillars, and the use of marble and limestone, while Aztec architecture had diverse styles. The most well-known was the twin temple-style pyramid. Both the Aztec and the Roman Empire were built on military strength. They both had professional military officers, easily defeated opposing armies, and used captured soldiers as slaves. The Romans and the Aztecs would use their captured enemies as sacrifices. The Aztecs would give human sacrifices for religious purposes, while the Romans would sacrifice men for sport. Both the Aztecs and the Romans are credited with creating their own calendars. The Roman calendar was a lunar calendar created by Romulus, with months consisting of 29 or 30 days. The calendar was determined by the cycles of the moon and the seasons of agriculture. The Aztecs created two of their own calendars. The first one was used to measure time. This calendar had 365 days and was used to determine when to plant crops. The second calendar was used to set dates of religious festivals and to tell when it was a good time to talk to the gods and make sacrifices to them. Both calendars were used to determine when the best time for agriculture was, but the Aztec calendar was based on the movement of the sun, and the Roman was based on the movement of the moon. The Aztecs and the Romans both had advanced irrigation systems. Aztec farming had become most famous because of the brilliant chinampas system that Aztec farmers used. Chinampas were used throughout the Valley of Mexico and around the lake bed. To build chinampas, plots were staked out on a lake bed. A fence was woven between the stakes, and the area would be filled in with mud and vegetation. The next plot would be parallel to this one, with room for a canal in between where canoes could pass through. The canals offered irrigation. Aztecs' complex irrigation and waterway systems included dams, aqueducts, and gates. The Romans constructed aqueducts to bring a constant flow of water from distant sources into cities and towns, supplying public baths, latrines, fountains, and private households. Some aqueducts also served for mining, processing, manufacturing, and agriculture. Aqueducts moved water through gravity alone along a slight downward gradient. Religion played an important role in both the Aztec and the Roman Empire. The Aztec people thought that the gods controlled their very lives. The Romans had to deal with a variety of religions as their empire expanded. The Aztecs allowed their conquered tribes to keep their own religion, while the Romans also tolerated the worshipping of a number of different gods. They knew that if they did not allow various religions to exist, people would be unhappy and harder to control. Even though the two great and famous empires were from a completely different time, they still had similarities in grand structures, military, sacrifices, irrigation, calendars, and religious tolerance. Isn't it amazing how similar things can be without any interaction at all?